100 kilometers. 800 of those consisted of special timed stages, and there was no shortage of any thrills and spills. So the season has been eventful for some, to say the least, and plain sailing for others. Between Jan Habig, Hergen Fekken and Enzo Keen, the BP Ultimate squad managed to win 4 out of 4 events so far. Habig won his home event in KZN. Fekken flew to a win in the Western Cape. Keen dominated the wet forest roads around Sabie and Nelspruit, and Fekken got his second on the long and tough Total Rally around Ermelo. To say the Total was tough would be an understatement. Not only was it rough and dusty, but it also had the longest stage in South African rally. 60 kilometers of flat-out forest racing in one single stage. Early on, the Castrol Toyota squad was determined to take the fight to Volkswagen, and they did. Both Mark Cronje and Johnny Gemmell were flying, trading faster stage times with Fekken. Going into the last stage of the Friday, there was very little in it, causing everyone to wonder what it was going to take to open up a gap. The answer was dust. Fekken got rewarded for running first on the road all day and opened up a healthy lead. Then came the infamous long stage at Jesseville, a blistering performance by Fekken over the 60 kilometers, and a gearbox failure on Cronje's Runix finally settled this battle, leaving Johnny Gemmell to claim a fantastic second. Total's Jean-Pierre Damso also finally managed to end his run of bad luck and finished third for his first ever podium in the top S2000 class. So after a second, a win, another second and yet another victory, Hergen Fekken now has daylight between himself and the chasing pack. This pack is led by 6 times and defending champion Jan Habig, but he's a full 23 points adrift. Jaapie van Niekerk's consistent season continues in third, ahead of the charging JP Damso. Enzo Keen's non-finish in Ermelo sees him slip to 5th, ahead of Nicholas Ryan. Charles Wilkin is now the leading production car and Class N4 driver, and Chris de Wit still manages to hold on to 10th in a Class A7 car. Toyota is still well on track to add another manufacturer's title to the long list of 16, courtesy of an army of Toyotas spread across most classes. Welcome to round 5 of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. So after rounds in KZN, Cape Town and in Mpumalanga, we now move to the Eastern Cape. This is not only Volkswagen's backyard, this is the Volkswagen Rally. And in their current form, this could spell trouble for the opposition. But in recent years, the manufacturers have not had their own way on their own events. Volkswagen took the victory at the Toyota Dealer Cape Rally earlier this year, but Toyota has a great record in Volkswagen's backyard. With Serge Damso behind the wheel, Toyota managed to win 6 of the last 8 Volkswagen rallies. Either way, this is going to be a battle of epic proportions over the event's 13 stages in and around Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage, Jeffreys Bay, and of course the infamous and daunting Longmoor Forest. The Volkswagen Rally also takes in a number of task stages, adding another dimension to an already challenging task. So what will it take to reach the finish at Kings Beach on the Saturday afternoon?
A lot of patience. It's a bit rough, so I think you probably need to be a bit clever on this one.
It gets very, very tricky.
I think if you absolutely push, you're going to be in trouble.
From the DVD, it's quite a long and tough event, a lot of long stages.
It's always got a sting somewhere. You know, there's lots of crocodiles on the side of the road.
The roads are extremely rough.
So we have a nice mixture of real forest and gravel racing and some finesse on the task stages. And as the first round of the second half of the championship, this event could play a huge role in the outcome of the championship. As the clear championship leader, Hergen Fekken is in charge of his own destiny. So can he become only the 4th driver in 17 years to claim a South African driver's title?
We had played a bit of, we tried to do well on the Sassel where it was a bit rough, and that played into our favour. You know, we got a good result even though we weren't pushing that hard. And the other events, we saw we could win it, so we went for the win, and at this stage, that's why we're in front.
Defending champion Jan Habig is still second in the standings, but can he catch Vecken?
No, why not? You know, we're only halfway through the season. What's going to happen? The real issue is just reeling in the points on every event.
Japie van Niekerk may have called his first year in the S2000 class a development year, but 4 consecutive finishes sees him third in the overall title chase.
It's going better than what we thought, and just shows you, to do well, you need to finish.
JP Damso finally managed to turn good pace into a result that now places him 4th on the points table. A turn of extremely bad luck during the total dropped former champion Enzo Kien from 3rd to 5th. So how do you fight back from here?
It was a fatal blow to us, arriving at the car the next day and it wouldn't start. I think we're fighting from the bottom up now.
A second place on the last event is Castrol Toyota and Johnny Gemmel's best result so far this season. And with this forward momentum, you will be eager to try and go one better in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah, it's a special event. It's VW's 25th event, and it would be really nice to win this one. But they'll also be trying extra hard this one, I'm sure.
The speed of Marc Cronje and the sister Castrol Toyota Runnix has been a revelation so far this season. But can he maintain it to the end and continue the Toyota tradition of winning in Volkswagen's backyard?
Well, we're going to be giving it hell. I mean, there's no ways that I'm not going to be giving, we'll go down trying.
It is Charles Wilkins' mission to win the production car title in 2008.
Obviously, everyone in N4 wants to win the title, and we're leading it, and we'd like to extend that lead we've got.
Wilkin will have to fight off the efforts of current production car champion Visser du Plessis.
Yeah, I'm 6 points adrift, which will make it a serious fight till the end of the year. If we both finish all rallies, I'll basically have to try and beat him.
After a good start to the season, former production car champion Fernando Rueda had 2 non-finishes, dropping him down the standings.
It's been really difficult for us. We had 2 silly things. One, as you know, was the differential in the Sassel, and then at the total, we burnt holes in the pistons, which I'd never done before.
With excellent speed on previous events and a brand new weapon, Paul Pfeiffer is going to be the danger man in Class N4.
I've got to actually just take it easy for this rally and just feel the car out, so that's going to be my strategy. Cool.
Also watch out for the battles in classes A7, A6 and A5, and the other 2 production classes N3 and N2. This is the start of the 25th Volkswagen Rally in front of the Volkswagen Auto Pavilion in Newtonay. Championship positions determine the starting order, forcing Vecken to once again be the first car on the road. This is championship leader Hargen Vecken starting the VW Rally on his way to tackle 4 car stages on the quad without any service in between. He was followed by teammate Habig and the Toyotas of Van Niekerk and JP Damso. Cronje and Gemmel will launch their attacks from 8th and 10th on the road respectively. Stage 1 is a very short 1.46 kilometer blast on tar roads at Kruisrivier, just down the road from Volkswagen's factory. The organizers have thrown in a few man-made obstacles to complicate things for the drivers before they move to the other side of town for stage 2, 3.54 kilometers of faster tarmac at Winterhoek. The BP Ultimate Polo of Hargen Vecken and Pierre Aris blasted around the 1.4 kilometers at Kruisrivier in a time of 1 minute and 7 seconds, and only took 2 minutes and 23 seconds to complete the spectator line 3.5 kilometers at Winterhoek. These times were fast, but not the fastest.
The car's feeling very good, eh? The guys did a good job with our tarmac setup. We haven't driven tar for quite a while. It's quite fun. I'm looking forward to Scribante's stage.
Jan Habig and Douglas Judd were the next ones to entertain the large crowds in the second BP Ultimate Polo. Habig has a spectacular driving style that makes him a firm favourite with the crowds. But on these 2 stages, he lost 5 seconds to his teammate Vecken. Japie van Niekerk and Robin Houghton already had their sights set on another solid finish and started off well by only losing a few seconds on stage 1 and matching Habig's time on stage 2.
Just keep it on the road, that's our name of the game for now. Not
Cliffy Road.
The words bad luck and the Team Total Evolution Toyota Runnix of JP Damser and Cobus Frey seem to be synonymous in 2008. The French-built Sadif gearbox snapped right at the very start of the first meter of the rally, ending all chances of a Damser winning the event.
Yeah, looks like this rally is not very good for us. I mean, last year we had a prop shot problem, and this year the gearbox casing exploded. So we haven't done many kilometers, but you know, we'll try again the next one.
On the previous event, Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson only lasted a single stage. This time, the VW team did everything in their power to not only ensure that the car will take the punishment, but to make it fast on tar as well. His BP Ultimate Polo was fully set up for tar, complete with special suspension and all the other bits. It paid off as Keen and Hodgson set the fastest times on both stages 1 and 2 to take the early rally lead, but only by 2 seconds from the flying Fecken.
Just getting used to the car, and it's quite tight, you know, so the car doesn't get time to heat up the tires. But it's slippery in the first corner every time, but it's quite good to be here.
The Philips Toyota Runnix of Nicholas Ryan and Schalk van Heerden was the next car to tackle these 2 short stages. Ryan drove sensibly and set his 9th fastest time on both occasions.
The car's revving nicely and brakes are working and gearbox is right, so I'm glad the first 2 stages are over.
Charles Wilken is a former multiple circuit racing champion and therefore very familiar with driving on tar. Together with Greg Godrich, he threw the Sassel Konica Minolta Subaru around stage 1 for the 5th fastest time, but the pair had trouble during stage 2.
No, the car just cut out. We lost about 20 seconds there. It's just cut out.
Then came the onslaught by the Castrol Toyota team. Johnny Gemmell and Zimbabwe navigator Peter Marsh were equally 5th fastest on stage 1 and went 3 positions better in stage 2 to equal Fecken's time. The battle lines between Volkswagen and Toyota were drawn.
Yeah, we've got a little vibration. We're just going to check it out now and see what it is.
The father and son combination of John and Douglas Williams is getting faster and faster with every event. The Williams Polo started well by posting 5th fastest stage times in both stages 1 and 2. Here's another former multiple circuit racing and world go-karting champion. Together with Robert Paisley, a former winner of this rally, Mark Lonier set out on his mission to beat the Volkswagens in their own backyard. The Castrol Toyota finished these 2 stages just 5 seconds behind Keen.
It was great, so the car feels good. I'm a little bit hesitant in the beginning, playing around with the brake bias, but we're getting into a rhythm now, so we'll see now we got older.
With only 2 short stages under the belt, the tar setup on Keen's car already paid dividends. 2 seconds wasn't much though, and the Castrol Toyota of Gemmell and Cronier were ready to pounce. Stage 3 is a proper tar stage on a real racing circuit, so this should play right into the hands of former track racing champions like Charles Wilken and Mark Cronier. And it did. Well, sort of anyway, because the combination of Enzo Keen's driving skill and the tar setup on his BP Ultimate Polo was doing a perfect job. Keen and Hodgson again won the stage for their 3rd in a row, but this time the Castrol Toyota of Cronier and Paisley was only a single second behind. The sister Castrol Runnix of Gemmell and Marsh set the 3rd fastest time together with the Polo of Fecken and Aris. 5th fastest at the Scribanti racetrack was the Sassel Konica Minolta Subaru of Wilken and Godrich, as well as the BP Ultimate Polo of Jan Habig and Douglas J. Track racing experience also showed when Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe in the Steve's Auto Clinic Subaru shared the 7th fastest stage time with the Williams Polo and mixing it up with the S2000 cars. When we look closely at the lines through a fast S section of the Scribanti racetrack, it's clear that track racing champions like Cronier, Wilken and Latergan know the fastest way through it. Paul Pfeiffer and Cindy Harding were still getting used to their brand new and expensive state-of-the-art Nobili Subaru N14 from ProDrive in England. Pfeiffer is one of the fastest production car rally drivers you'll ever find, but just look at the difference between his lines and that of an experienced track racer like Latergan. So Enzo Keen stretches his lead around the Scribanti racetrack, but only by a single second from the rapid Cronier. Fecken, Gemmell and Habig didn't lose much time either, and the track racing experience of Wilken and Latergan places their production Subarus between the S2000s. Stage 4 was again a tar stage and another short one. Barson's Green was less than 3 kilometers long, resulting in very close times between the top runners. After the break, the real rally starts as the teams prepare for the first of many gravel stages on the tough 25th Volkswagen Rally. The Longmore Forest stage, 46 k's on gravel. The cars will now come into service for the first time, and Volkswagen is going to attempt to change Enzo Keen's car from a tar spec car to a gravel spec car, which means all the components must come out and the gravel ones must go in. And they've only got 26 minutes to do it in. Seeing a Works factory team in action is pure poetry in motion, with every action carefully planned and executed to achieve the end result. In well under the allowed amount of time, the BP Ultimate Volkswagen team managed to successfully change all 4 corners of the car, preparing Keen for the rest of the battle, which in all honesty was only about to start.
Similar to the previous year, we tried the setup and we were leading Surge by 3 seconds. I think psychologically it's got more gain than actual time, you know. Second a kilometer is what we were aiming at.
We're bringing the fight to them, so let's see. We're going to gravel now, and I've got a nice position on the road, and hopefully we can scare them.
Stage 5 was the first gravel stage of the event, 9.7 kilometers, consisting of a few laps around the Port Elizabeth Oval racetrack and a nice section of scraped gravel roads in the area. Pekin and Pierre Aries were glad to be back on their favorite surface, and it showed. The BP Ultimate Polo set the fastest time of 6 minutes 26 seconds on this stage. Teammates Keen and Hodgson were second fastest. This wasn't as bad as 2 years ago when the pairing did a full extra lap of the oval. This time they only lost 5 seconds of their lead. Johnny Gemmell and Peter Marsh were right in the thick of the action, equaling the second fastest time in the Casual Toyota Runnings. Habib and Judd gave the hordes of Volkswagen supporters much to cheer about with a spectacular 4th fastest time. Their time was only a single second faster than the time set by Cronje and Paisley in the second Casual Toyota Runnings. Nicholas Ryan and Schalk van Heerden were doing a great job for Phillips in their runnings, mixing it up with the factory teams by setting the 6th fastest stage time. Ryan was only a second faster than the Williams VW Polo, and the battle between the S2000 privateers was turning into a good one. In the production car battle, Paul Pfeiffer and Cindy Harding were starting to find their rhythm in the new Nobili Subaru Impreza, setting the fastest time in Class M4. Both Hein Latergan in the Steve's Auto Clinic Subaru and Fernando Rueda on the Total Evolution Mitsubishi Lancer were fighting back after their earlier problems, setting the equal second fastest stage time in the production car category. Defending production car champion Visser du Plessis with Gerard Snyman in the hot seat were again in the middle of the class battle, but lost a little time due to fuel starvation in the Pertic Subaru. The production car battles between drivers like du Plessis, Latergan, Pfeiffer, Rueda and Wilken have been some of the best in the rally circus this year. Wilken and Godrich are the current points leaders, but the Sassel Konica Minolta Subaru again developed a problem.
No, the car's cutting out all the time. It probably cut out 5 times in that stage. You know, stop, try and start it, stop, try and we figured out one of the switch was jumping out, the fuel pump switch. So maybe there's something wrong with the fuel pump. So I'm going to change that now, and hopefully it's going to work in the 44k stage.
Without knowing if all the problems were fixed or not, the teams headed west out of Port Elizabeth for the first of the stages in the by now very infamous Longmore Forest. Stage 6 was to provide a real taste of what was to come on day 2 of the Volkswagen Rally, as most of the event's competitive mileage would be contested here. In the first 5 stages, the teams completed a total of 30 stage kilometers. Stage 6 was a full 46 kilometers long. Over the years, these forest roads have seen some of the best rally battles in history, as they provide a tough and demanding test for both man and machine. Although most of the trees on the rally side of the mountain have been harvested, the Longmore Forest demands respect, as it is not only rough in there, but also dangerous with rocks and cliffs waiting around every corner. There was almost an ominous feeling in the air before Hergen Frecken and Pierre Aries were the first ones to have a taste of what the Longmore Forest was going to dish up in 2008. These are the type of conditions in which Frecken normally flourish, but as always, the Longmore had the final say. Frecken and Aries hit a rock with around 12 of the 46 kilometers to go. The initial damage was just a puncture. They decided to continue, but the rubber knocked the brake caliper off, which in turn smashed the left front suspension right off. And they still had the task of trying to get the Polo back to service, some 38 kilometers away.
We got a flat tire about 15 k's from the end, and I decided to drive through. And I think just about a k from the finish, the caliper came off and it pulled the whole wheel off.
While Feken had his trouble, Mark Cronje and Robert Paisley launched their attack in the Castrol Toyota Runnings. Cronje has been super fast all season, but also went off the road a few times. On this stage, there was no room for mistakes, but Cronje didn't make any and demolished the opposition in the process. He raced through the 46-kilometer stage in a blistering time of just 30 minutes and 18 seconds.
I think I went all right, so I'm not too sure. I just tried to keep it neat and tidy. We had a bit of oversteer towards the end, and otherwise it was okay. It was a long stage, very rough, so I'm glad to get to the end.
Jan Habig and Douglas Judd are multiple champions and would have seen these Longmore Forest roads on a number of occasions, and the experience showed. The champions recorded the second fastest stage time of 30 minutes and 33 seconds, a full 15 seconds slower than Cronje. Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson in their sister BP Ultimate VW Polo were leading from Cronje by a slender 4 seconds before the stage. But with Cronje on the money, Keane had to set a time of 30 minutes and 24 seconds to stay in or share the lead. He was already much slower and crossed the flying finish in a time of 30 minutes and 43 seconds. Third fastest stage time, but Mark Cronje has taken the overall lead by a massive 19 seconds.
Big push, we had a good stage and we survived it. Very tricky in there, very rocky. Lots of crocodiles that want to bite your tires. Go!
In his first year in the top S2000 class, Jaapie van Niekerk and Robin Houghton and the third of the Castrol Toyotas are still gaining experience. But van Niekerk has been solid this year by not making any mistakes. He set the fourth fastest stage time. The fantastic scrap between Ryan and Van Heerden in the Philips Toyota Runnings and the Williams Polo continued on stage 6, with Williams taking 10 seconds from Ryan over the 46 kilometers. In the overall standings, the Williams pairing also overtook the Philips Runnings, but there was still only 8 seconds separating these two. And then we saw one of the most bizarre rally incidents in recent years. Charles Wilken and Greg Godrich were 30 kilometers into the long Elandsrivier stage when this happened. The two cars collided in a hairpin, causing damage to both.
Yeah, we were in the long stage leading our class, and we were having a good stage. And there was no need to look behind us, and next moment here was Johnny Gemmell hitting us from the side.
Yeah, we caught Charles. We thought he had a problem, but speaking to him now, he says he hasn't got a problem. So we caught him anyway and followed him for a bit, and then seemed like he was moving out the way.
You know, his story apparently is that it looked like we were putting over, but we didn't even see him.
And then we got together and banged wheels and broke our steering arm. And that was that.
As predicted, the 46-kilometer Elandsrivier stage was busy causing havoc all round. Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz in the Total Evolution Mitsubishi Lancer also hit one of the many, as Fernando would put it, crocodiles in the road.
Yeah, we had a puncture, we had to stop, we've been off the road, it was really not our stage.
The Spaniards' misfortune also affected the charging Pertex Subaru of Visser Du Plessis and Gerard Snyman, who lost some time in his dust. After a puncture and losing some time in the stage, Paul Pfeiffer and Cindy Harding decided to retire the new Nobili Subaru. Through all the carnage, Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe emerged as the production car leaders. The Steve's Auto Clinic Subaru not only managed to stay out of trouble, but also set the 7th fastest overall time on this stage.
It was nice. I tell you what, it's difficult to keep on concentrating. It's different conditions, you know, sometimes slippery, very fast, very tight. Everything jumps at you, you know, so it's a hell of a difficult.
After the battle that was Elandsrivier, the crews had time to patch their wounds at the 60-minute service in the holiday town of Jeffreys Bay. J-Bay was also hosting the Billabong Pro surfing contest, so the town was bustling with activity, and so was the service park. Somehow, Hargen Feken and Pierre Aris managed to drag their 3-wheel BP Ultimate Polo all the way to J-Bay, giving the Volkswagen technicians another chance to rebuild the Polo. But this time, it was not part of a carefully planned strategy. Over at the Du Plessis and Snyman Pertex Subaru, the sparks were literally flying.
You know, I have a new cross member in the workshop, but it's not here.
so we could have replaced him.
Class A6 leaders Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin were anxiously watching as their team changed the gearbox on the Team Total Toyota Corolla.
We're doing a planned gearbox change just to be safe. We had a gearbox failure on the last rally and we don't want to repeat.
Although Enzo Keen had the early rally lead, Castrol Toyota's Mark Renier did enough to open up a 19-second lead. Was this the beginning of Toyota's fight back, or even better for them, the continuation of their tradition to beat Volkswagen in their own backyard?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed feelings today. You know, we went into the first gravel stage and I thought I had a fairly reasonable stage and the guys took time out of me. So I thought, you know, where did I lose the time? And after analysing it a little bit, I think I realised where I lost the time and put it together for the long stage and focused on those points. And straight away we were back on pace.
So at the top, Grenier was leading from the polos of Keen and Habig, and in production cars, Latergan was impressive to lead from Duplessis and Wilkin. But further down the field, the drivers were also giving their all. In the rapid and top two-wheel drive Class A7, Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin in the PP Ultimate Polo set the initial pace from the NetConnect Polo driven by Adrian Karth and Rikus Fourie. Special Vehicles off-road champion Evan Hutchison and Greg Gericke in the hot seat were fresh from a class podium on the previous event in their motorized Toyota Runnix. But the engine expired in stage 4. Ken Schubert and Henny Boertes in the Salom VW Polo drove well and took over the lead after stage 5, but relinquished it to Adrian Karth after the first forest stage of the rally. Nico Higgs and Menno Havelaar in the HRD Racing Toyota Runnix occupied a podium position for a while, but they got overhauled by former Northern Regions champion Michael Otto and Armand de Toey in the Bala World Toyota Corolla. Class A 7 points leaders Chris de Wit and Dean Redlinghuis in the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix were in the battle, but the organisers excluded de Wit for running on slick tyres that were not specified in the rules. Class A6 was once again a dogfight between the Pan RC's VW Polo of Stefan Wilkin and Llewellyn Fourie, the Total Evolution Toyota Corolla of Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin, and the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix of class veterans and point leaders Craig Trott and Tony Ball. Wilkin set the initial pace on the tar stages, but Musa overtook him in the forest to hold the overnight lead. The Sasol Toyota Yaris in Class A5 for 1300 and 1400 cars was extremely quick on the opening day of the VW Rally. Dave Compton and Paul Leslie took the lead on the opening stage of the day and held onto it until they lost 5 minutes in the bushes of the Longmore Forest. They recovered to finish the day in third. The Team Techwood Toyota Taz of Char Conradi and Tian Rabe had no such problems and took the class lead in stage 6. Stephen Mearns and Kieran Noonan's multi-purpose cement Toyota Taz didn't miss a beat all day and finished the first day second in class. Class championship points leaders Andre Kleinwerk and Des de Voorkeer in their BP Ultimate City Golf were running in a podium position early on, but like with Chris de Wit in Class A7, the Golf was excluded for having the wrong tyres. Class N3 for production cars with an engine capacity up to 2 litres was as always a dogfight between the Total Evolution Toyota Runnix of Rodney Versage and Carolyn Swan, the Sasol Toyota Runnix of Etienne de Toey and Patrick Vermaak, the class points leaders Costa Komatrakis and Louw Zitzman, and the Ford Racing Fiesta of Etienne Lawrence and Alvin Coetzee. De Toey took the lead from Versage after stage 3 and finished the day with a 27-second class lead. Second in class was the Fiesta of Lawrence and Coetzee, still chasing their first class win since moving from the top S2000 class. For the first time in a few events, there was more than one entry in Class N2. Rian and his wife Estie Erasmus were comfortably leading from the Team React Mitsubishi Lancer of Stephen White and Jonathan Bright. So after a warm dinner on an icy cold evening, the teams had one more run on a short tar stage, this time on the streets of Jeffreys Bay. The stage was only 1.5 kilometers long and didn't really have any impact on the overall standings, but a great opportunity for the crowds to get up close and personal with the sights, sounds and even smells of rally cars in full flight. The risk of hitting a pavement and losing a wheel is much higher than the reward of gaining valuable seconds, so the times were close. And it was almost fitting that Keen and Cronier, the pace setters all day, shared the fastest stage time, albeit by only 2 seconds from Habig and Wilkin. Mark Cronier goes to bed on the Friday night as the leader of the 25th Volkswagen Rally by a full 19 seconds. The polos of Keen and Habig are definitely still within striking distance, but the first stage in the Longmore Forest managed to open up large gaps on the leaderboard. Latergan is the overnight production car leader. After J-Bay, it was back to Port Elizabeth for a well-deserved rest. If one stage in the Longmore Forest on the Friday of the event can cause so much havoc, imagine what 4 stages on the Saturday could do. See you after the break. Nearly 140 kilometers on the final day, the 25th Volkswagen Rally had a very early and cold start on the Saturday morning. The first cars were allowed to leave the Park Firma area at Port Elizabeth's Kings Beach at 6:45 before having to travel the 70 kilometers to return to more punishment in the Longmore Forest. The rules in Sasol South African rallying state that the top 8 drivers on day 1 get to choose their respective starting positions for day 2. In most rallies, it is almost always a disadvantage to be the first car on the road. On the opening day of each event, this burden belongs to the championship points leader. On day 2, it usually belongs to the driver in 8th position, but not this time. Everyone seemed to have a different strategy. Rally leader Mark Ronier chose to be the 5th driver to tackle the infamous forest.
Hoping that, that out of sight, out of mind, they're not sure, have to push hard, so we'll see. I'm hoping that they're going to start damaging their cars pushing, so we'll see what goes.
For some reason, Enzo Keen wanted to be the sweeper.
Yes, I think that we're doing a lot of repeats today, and the concern was breaking up of the road even further. The organisers have been confined to only one part of the forest, so they're using specific parts of the stages, rerunning them up to 3 or 4 times. So I think that was the reason we chose to be first.
3rd place Habich was happy to hold his position.
Yeah, third I think is always a little bit more comfortable. You've got the guys in front of you that have basically found the route. Sometimes you can use a bit of their brake markers. Just makes it just slightly easier, I think.
It's just after 7 o'clock and it's freezing cold, but the crowds are out nonetheless, and we're back in the Longmore Forest for a second day of real gravel road racing. And if you think of what damage 44 kilometers caused to the stand of the rally or the field yesterday, can you imagine what 130 kilometers in 4 stages will do today? Stage 8, or the first stage of day 2 of the Volkswagen Rally, would be a 32.3 kilometer test of both speed and endurance. The great rally drivers of the past and present usually use the first stage on the second morning to make a move and to get the first psychological blow in. The BP Ultimate Polo of Keenan Hodgson looked fast as it consumed each of the stage's 32 kilometers. But as the former champion was the first car on the road, he would have to wait and see if his time of 23 minutes and 51 seconds would hold out. With their drama late on day 1, Fecken and Aries were determined to make up the time they lost. This is usually where Fecken makes his move, and the BP Ultimate Polo crossed the flying finish in a time of 23 minutes and 33 seconds, or 18 seconds faster than his teammate. The third of the BP Polos emerged at the end of the stage unscathed. The time set by Habich and Judd was just 1 second slower than the current fastest time by the flying Fecken. Van Niekerk and Houten won course for yet another solid finish. The Pretoria businessman wasn't going to risk anything and crossed the flying finish in a respectable time of 24 minutes and 14 seconds. Next up, rally leaders Mark Cronje and Robert Paisley in the Castrol Toyota Runnix. So far, Cronje spoiled the Volkswagen party, and the question was what he was going to do on this crucial stage. The answer? Destroy the opposition. Cronje blitzed through the stage in a winning time of 23 minutes and 8 seconds and stretched his overall lead to almost a minute. Halfway through the 32-kilometer stage, Cronje already opened up a comfortable gap over Fecken. A few minutes later, Cronje reached the flying finish while Fecken still had 25 seconds of flat-out driving to do. The Williams Polo was locked in a battle with the Van Niekerk Runnix, but John and Father Douglas lost out in stage 8, losing 27 seconds to their rivals. This is halfway through the first stage of Saturday morning, and the last car to have come through this corner was John Williams. But now a huge gap has appeared, and we've just got a message that Nicholas Ryan has rolled his car and they've stopped the stage. This became clear when the rest of the field started to emerge from the forest at normal speeds. Something was seriously wrong.
It looks like he hit a bit of a crest with a rock on it, launched the car, landed, and I think he hit the left-hand bank and threw him into the bushes on the right-hand side. The car's pretty total. His navigator has obviously got a broken leg at least. Nick seems okay, cut some bruises, but there was a bit of a fire. So we all stopped. Obviously all the fire extinguishers got all pulled out and put out the fire, and whatever we could do to help the guys. And by the time the medics got there, which was pretty quick. I was very impressed. The medics arrived very, very quickly.
We were first on the scene there with Nicholas's accident. His car's quite bad. It's in the trees. The Skulk was out the car when we got there, and Nicholas was staggering in the trees there with his board. Peter fortunately saw it. We stopped, and assisted them, got our fire extinguisher out, tried to put out the fire, but it was still going.
I think Nick might have been pushing a little bit hard over quite a rough section. After yesterday's, the repeat, you know, the ground's been cleared away. So the jump was a lot worse, and they might have been going a bit quick, probably 150, 160 odd.
Maybe the best person to tell us exactly what happened is Nicholas Ryan himself.
It was, I was deciding to push on the stage a little bit, and we hit the sump rock, about 100 meters back, and it picked up the back end, but it was at full pace. Picked up back end, and we knocked ourselves into the left-hand rock here, so it veered off to the left, and spun around, landed in the bushes here. His foot is unfortunately broken, so he's not feeling that good at the moment. I think he felt better when the morphine went into him. But car is strong, really. It saved us both, kept us alive, if anything. So it's a big shock. It's a big knock. So I'm happy we're here. I'm happy I'm standing. I'm happy Skalk's well. He's going to be out for a while, but we're not going to give up here.
The rally fraternity wishes Skalk van Heerden a speedy recovery and hopes that the talents of Nicholas Ryan and the Philips Toyota Runnings will soon be back on the stages and entertaining the crowds as they do. So as you can see, rallying is scary stuff. Going that fast on dirt roads and doing all of that in a car that looks almost exactly the same as a normal Runnings or Polo that's parked in your garage at home. But what exactly is the difference between a Super 2000 rally machine and a normal Runnings or Polo? A week before the start of the rally, we paid a visit to Toyota Motorsport, close to the Toyota Motor Corporation head offices in Wynberg, Gauteng. In here, a total of 30 engineers and technicians work full-time on Toyota's motorsport program, a part of which is to design, build and maintain the 3 Castrol Toyota Runnixes competing in the top S2000 class of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. The biggest difference between this Runnix and the one parked in your garage at home is undoubtedly the price tag. The one at home probably set you back around 150,000. This one is closer to 1.5 million, or 10 times as much. And that makes this the most expensive Runnix in the world. But if you are a factory team like Toyota and Volkswagen and your aim is to beat the competition in your quest to become Sasol South African Rally champions, then you can start mentioning the words value for money and a 1.5 million rand Runnix in the same breath. Remember, Super 2000 is regarded as the formula of the future. There are even talks of these machines replacing the costly WRC cars as a top class in world rallying. The reasons? Well, they are much more affordable, and cheaper doesn't necessarily mean less spectacular. So what is different from a regular Runnix?
Yeah, everything's different. It's got a 2-liter engine in that you don't get in the Runnixes here. It's got a 6-speed sequential 4-wheel drive gearbox. It's got different suspension, it's different fuel tank. The body gets welded, fitted with a roll cage, and gets stiffened a lot. So yeah, it's a completely different car.
And all of that makes a Super 2000 extremely fast over basically any terrain. The Super 2000 accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in around 5 seconds and can reach speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour over bumps and rough stuff that will rip the chassis and wheels off your regular Runnix. Every S2000 is a masterpiece and the result of hours of meticulous designing and engineering.
Okay, this is the drawing office. When we design a new car like the Auris, every component gets drawn up first. We will sit around the table and have a design meeting of whatever we want to design, and we will get the part drawn up. That part will get, if it's not too complicated, manufactured right here in our workshop. Once it's manufactured, we'll see if it fits and see if we need to make changes on it.
The heart of any car is its engine. An S2000 makes use of a normally aspirated 2-liter. Toyota's engines are built right here in the engine room and develops around 200 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque. It's a high-revving engine with a rev limiter set at 8,500 RPM. Although these can probably last a little bit longer, they don't take any chances. Each 200,000 rand engine gets a complete rebuild after every 4 rallies. That's only after about 3,500 kilometers, of which around 1,000 were special stage kilometers.
Yeah, this is a Runnix engine block. It's taken 3 days to get the block like this, to get it polished and cleaned up and painted and everything. And from here, it takes another week to get the engine fully assembled and ready for the dyno to get run in.
The sequential gearbox on an S2000 is equally as impressive and requires no clutch to change gears. It's also called a crash box, and with good reason, as after dropping the clutch to pull away, you can simply crash it into the next gear, saving a lot of time in the process. Nowadays, they also make use of a gear cut system that cuts the fuel supply and reduces the timing in order to achieve even faster and smoother gear changes. With no need to depress the clutch during downshifts, a driver's left foot is free to operate the brakes, which is a whole different story for another day. Well, that was last week, or less than a week before the start of the Volkswagen Rally. We've now come down to Uitenhage to VW Racing, and this is now Wednesday afternoon, or less than a day before the cars will have to be presented to the scrutineers, and on Friday morning, the rally starts. Which means that these almost brand new BP Ultimate Polos will once again be manhandled by Volkswagen's top Super 2000 drivers, Hergen Fekken, Jan Habig and Enzo Keen. As with the Toyotas, the Polos are also Super 2000s, which means that the rules for engine specifications are the same. So, once again, we're talking of around 200 kilowatts. But with a Volkswagen and Toyota rivalry as intense as it is, one will never know exactly how strong each of the engines are. That sort of information is kept secret, as every kilowatt counts. These kilowatts are measured in Volkswagen's own engine dynamometer, where every engine is run in for 6 hours after every rebuild. But as far as the gearboxes are concerned, it's a level playing field, as the rules determine that every Super 2000 must make use of the same French-manufactured SADIF sequential gearbox in order to save costs. So with the rally only a day away, these guys have already completed all the tasks of rebuilding the engines, the gearboxes, the whole car for that matter. But it's not nearly the end of all the hard work.
We have catering service, we have people traveling to look at the rally from the timing for us and feeding information to me, where we make decisions on what we still can do more. And I mean, it's just the background things that you guys never know of. I mean, I've got spotters in the forest that will time cars at a certain point to see how we're doing with pace.
Volkswagen Racing has around 25 people working on the team. With extra help needed just before and during a rally, this number grows to about 40, with each person's task instrumental to the overall objective of winning a rally. These tasks are carefully planned, strategies are drawn up and meetings are held, all to ensure that the team works as a well-oiled machine during the rally. During an event, the team must be able to basically rebuild a car at every service. To do this, a number of service vans are meticulously packed with everything from spare gearboxes to suspension components, brakes, fuel, tires and every other possible consumable. Volkswagen will take around 48 gravel and slick tires for each of their 3 Super 2000 rally cars to the Volkswagen Rally. Once everything is packed, their giant truck will carry around 26 tons of equipment, including the 3 Polos, and will be worth around 15 million rand.
This is their home event. They know everybody from the factory is going to be out there. The MD is going to be there, our boss is going to be there, and so the pressure is enormous. However, everybody knows what they have to do, and I think that has been the success of this team over the last 3 years.
So no wonder that the start of a rally is such a tense affair. For all these guys, it's the culmination of weeks of hard work, but now it's up to the drivers and the navigators to keep the car in one piece. So after 8 of the 13 stages, the BP Ultimate Volkswagens were all 3 near the top of the leaderboard. But at the very top, Cronje was making his mark in the Castrol Toyota Runnings. Remember, Volkswagen spoiled Toyota's party at their own event earlier in the year. And with a 56-second lead, Cronje was doing his best to return the favor. Wilken inherited the production car lead thanks to the demise of Hein Latergan, who failed to start stage 8 due to engine trouble. Visser du Plessis was within striking distance, and Adrian Karth occupied a top 10 position in his Class A7 Polo. The Volkswagen Rally might have 3 tough stages in the Longmore Forest to go, but Marc Cronje was now in charge of his own destiny. The young Castrol Toyota driver has had success in off-road racing before and won 2 class rally championships on his way to the top S2000 class. But a podium finish in Cape Town is his best result so far. In stages 9 and 10, he was hoping to change all of that. Well, this is the end of stage 10, and Marc Cronje has just opened up his lead by another 2 seconds, so it's now almost a minute. If he can keep it together for one more long gravel stage, he's standing right on the edge of his first victory. And if he does, he'll continue the tradition of Toyota beating Volkswagen in their own backyard. Habig and Judd in the BP Ultimate Polo know all about winning championships, and we're currently lying second in the title chase, as well as in the rally. With Fekken and Ari sweating it out in fourth, Habig would close the points gap to his teammate if he could bring the car to the end, or would he try to chase Cronje down?
Yeah, I think, you know, realistically, the gap is a bit too big at this stage. But we'll go hard, you know, keep it clean. That's the real issue, is to keep it clean and, you know, stay away from the punches and those sort of things. So we'll go hard, like we've just done for the whole day, and see how it pans out.
Teammates Keenan Hodgson had an up and down season so far. On the pace in Natal before the engine expired, a great second in Cape Town, and an even better win on the Sasol Rally. On the total, he retired after having driven just 4 kilometers, so third in the Eastern Cape would be a welcome result. A broken cross member after stage 11 didn't help his cause though. Our championship leaders, Fecken and Aris, have had a dominant season so far with 2 wins and 2 second places. But the BP Ultimate Polo driver needed a miracle to get anything better than 4th. As if he hasn't been in the wars enough already, Fecken had a new problem to worry about.
We lost the gear lever at about 3 k's into the stage, so it was really hard work. I tried to change gears down here at the bottom, but it's almost impossible.
Van Niekerk and Houghton were still fending off the attention from the Williams Polo, with Williams slowly eating into Van Niekerk's lead. When they left the forest after stage 11, Williams was breathing down his neck, only 6 seconds adrift. Johnny Gemmell and Peter Marsh were setting very competitive stage times in their Castrol Toyota Runnings and were fighting their way back from 26th position overnight to 9th after stage 11. The Sasol Konica Minolta Subaru of Wilken and Godrich and the newer Pertec version of Du Plessis and Snyman were locked in their own battle for production car honours. The defending champion moved past the aspiring one after stage 10, in spite of having all sorts of problems with the Subaru. Du Plessis' concerns were well-founded, as in the long stage 11, the other side of the subframe also cried enough. He was forced to ease his pace, with Wilken waiting in the wings to reclaim the Class N4 and production car lead.
Both sides were broken off, so we welded it, so there's no use to take it. If it breaks off again, we might just lose the whole suspension.
Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz had a steady day in the Total Evolution Mitsubishi Lancer after losing a lot of time on day 1. The Spaniard emerged from the Longmore Forest stages in 10th overall and 3rd in production cars. In the process, Rueda overtook the husband and wife team of Richard and Natasha Vaughan in their Mitsubishi Lancer. The early production car championship points leaders were disappointed about losing this position, but in a rally with such a high attrition rate, any points would be welcome. Not so lucky was the De Goede Finance Subaru of brothers Joos and Dani Stassen. The pair steadily upped their pace on day 2, but an oil fire early on in stage 11 brought their visit to the Longmore Forest to an end. After the grueling Longmore Forest, it was back to the Port Elizabeth Oval racetrack for the final gravel stage of the 25th Volkswagen Rally. Stage 12 was a repeat of stage 5 the previous day, and with no real positions up for grabs anymore, the drivers put up a great show for the large crowd, displaying great skill while combining speed and car control. Johnny Gemmell won the stage, but only with a single second from Habig. John Williams drove like a man possessed as he was still chasing the Runnings of Van Niekerk and Houghton. The gap before stage 12 was only 6 seconds, but the Williams Polo managed to beat Van Niekerk by 10 seconds to briefly take 5th place overall. But Van Niekerk knew that the Williams pairing was still facing a 10-second penalty and safely controlled the situation to remain in 5th by a mere 4 seconds, and that after 212 kilometers of special stage rallying.
We're trying to sneak a position at the last minute here, but yeah, you've obviously been driving well today, so yeah, it hasn't been that easy. It's a shortish stage, but we gave it a good try, so I don't know.
And through all of this, Cronje and Paisley raced through safely to maintain their comfortable lead on their way to a memorable victory. Rallying is also about the spectacle, and Volkswagen supporters could not ask for a better spectacle than the one put up by the organisers at Kings Beach. It was a short 1.5 kilometre tar stage to finish the proceedings, but the action was still spectacular. Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz made a great comeback in the Total Evolution Mitsubishi Lancer to keep his production car aspirations alive. The Spaniard finished 10th overall and 3rd in Class N4. Johnny Gemmell and Peter Marsh had the pace all weekend, but Friday's incident dropped them down to 9th in the Castrol Toyota Runnings. Broken subframes and shock absorbers could not stop the Pertec Subaru of Visser Du Plessis and Gerrit Snyman from finishing 8th and 2nd in Class N4. An incident-filled event ended in 7th overall and another production car victory for Charles Wilken and Greg Godrich and the Sasol Konica Minolta Subaru. From here on in, it was all about the S2000s. The Williams Polo ended a great tussle in 6th. That's one place behind the Toyota of Jaapie van Niekerk and Robin Houghton, who maintains their third place overall on the championship points table. Fourth place is Hergen Vekken and Pierre Aris' worst finish of the season so far, but it doesn't do much to his overall championship lead. A solid drive sees Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson back on the podium again. And an even better drive by champions Jan Habbig and Douglas Judd resulted in a great second. As always, Habbig finished it off in spectacular style. So a BP Ultimate Volkswagen 2, 3 and 4 in the Volkswagen Rally. But Castrol Toyota with Mark Rooney and Robert Paisley finally managed to turn the tables and bring an end to VW's winning streak. Behind overnight Class A7 leaders Adrian Carth and Rikus Fourie and their Net Connect VW Polo, the class basically self-destructed on day 2. Nico Higgs and Menno Havelaar were the first ones to go when the gearbox on their HRD Racing Toyota Runex expired on stage 10. The Salom Polo of Tian Shubai and Eddie Boerters were next up when they suffered the same fate a stage later. And on the same stage, Michael Otto and Armando Toy escaped without injury after crashing their Barloworld Toyota Corolla on stage 11. It was a very welcome victory for the hard-charging car.
We took the lead yesterday before we went to the forest, and we held it all the way through last night, and then today just defended it.
The Class A6 tussle between the Panhard Seats Polo of Stefan Wilken and Llewellyn Fourie and the Total Evolution Corolla of Musa and Martin ended when Musa first had to change a second gearbox after stage 10, only for the engine to cry enough in stage 11. This left the door open for Trott and Ball in another Total Evolution Toyota to take up the fight. But in the end, Wilken emerged as the winner by only 4 seconds from Trott, although this result is still pending the outcome of an investigation which could hand the class win to Trott.
We had a good lead, but eventually we came down to 9 seconds in the last stage. Craig took off 3, but we won eventually with 6 seconds. It's the second one for this year.
Steve Mearns and Kieran Noonan survived the challenge of the VW Rally to claim third in their Class A5 multi-purpose cement Toyota Taz, behind early leaders Compton and Leslie, who fought back to end second in the little Sasol Toyota Yaris. But it was a great drive from the Team Techwood Taz of Chart Conradi and Tian Rabe to earn a second-class victory in 2 events.
Feels good. We tried hard. We had a good event, actually a clean run. So it's actually very good for our championship effort.
In Class N3, Etienne de Toy and Patrick Vermaak in the Sasol Toyota Runex retired when the right rear wheel stud shared on the long stage 10. Rodney Versage and Caroline Swan managed to bring a battered and bruised Total Evolution Runex home in second. But what a moment for Blue Oval fans when Etienne Lawrence and Alvin Coetzee crossed the finish line for Ford's first win since they returned to rallying at the start of the season.
We are ecstatic. There's no other word for it.
Stephen White and Jonathan Bright survived the Longmore Forest and the Team React Mitsubishi Lancer for a Class N2 win. A first overall victory for Mark Ronier, leading a Volkswagen 2, 3 and 4. Van Niekerk maintains his 100% finishing record, and the production car battle between Wilken and Duplessis remains a close one. In Class A7, Adrian Carth proves that to finish first, you must first finish. Stefan Wilken scraped through by 6 seconds in Class A6. Conradi gets his second Class A5 victory with no Kleinberg on the leaderboard. And Ford fans celebrate their first win in Class N3 with Etienne Lawrence. And Stephen White emerged as the only N2 survivor. So Champagne for Cronier, Habbig and Keen as the top 3, as well as for Wilken as the winner of the production car category. For Toyota, 7th time winner of this event over the past 9 years, and for Cronier, the first time winner in S2000 and spoiler of Volkswagen's party, the taste must have been bittersweet.
Yeah, coming out to Volkswagen event, there were a lot of pressure on our shoulders, and you know, Serge has done a great job by winning the event almost every year. So, you know, at least that gremlin's off our shoulders now, and we can take in the fight forward now, and it's going to be good.